What's up everyone, and welcome back to the Zea Tea Podcast. And yes, I'm in a new place, just to get the elephant out of the room real quick. But that's not what we're going to be talking about right away in this podcast. First of all, 650 subs. How the fuck has that happened then? I know I previously briefly thanked you guys in my vlog that I posted last week, but I just want to reiterate, thank you. It means the world. The fact that people are actually watching my channel is just, it's just so nice, you know, to know that there's people that care about what I make. Obviously I make this stuff for myself anyway, but the fact that people care about it and want to, you know, support me by watching the videos and seeing what I'm doing, just, it means the world, man. Even if you just click on for a video once a year, you're still, you're keeping my motivation up, I tell you that much. But yeah, welcome back to this podcast. This is obviously a solo one, but I have a few things that I do want to talk about in this podcast. But we'll get into all of them, including but not limited to what I've been up to over the summer, because I feel like I didn't really fill you guys in much on what I did over the summer of 2022, leading up to where I am now. And then also go through what I'm up to right now, and then also I will do an Amazon review of the week. I forgot to do one in the last podcast where, you know, where we did the fucking Iron Maiden video, the Iron Maiden ranking podcast. Like, we did that podcast, but we didn't do an Amazon review, so we've got one today. Don't worry, we've got an Amazon review today. Also, I've got a bloody list of notes to make sure that I discuss in this video, at least a bit briefly. But yeah, also 6-year anniversary of the channel. Mad stuff. The fact that this channel is 6 years old now is crazy, man. I can't believe that I've been doing this shit 6 years. It's been a wild ride, and I'm just very, very glad to have you guys along for the ride, to be honest. But yeah, as you probably watched in my vlog from last week, if you haven't, then maybe go do that. I don't want to spoil what happens in that one, but it is a solid video. I'm pretty proud of it, to be honest. It's one of the most it's the most fun I've had making a video or a vlog in a little while. And for this last year, for 2022, I steered away from like vlogging because I didn't want to have to live my life through the lens of a camera, and it felt like if I'd continued vlogging at the rate that I was doing, then I would have just lost all sense of personality outside of when the camera was on and I was filming, if that makes sense. Which, yes, is the sole reason why I stopped making vlogeration. It wasn't just that reason that I stopped making vlogeration. Maybe I'll talk about the vlogeration series as a whole one day, but in broad strokes, the main reasons that I stopped vlogeration is, one, because I want to live my life in the present. I don't want to have to film everything that I do in my life, and also I want the privacy of my own personal life to be there as well. Like, all of my social interactions, well, not all, but some of my social interactions that I'd had over the summer of 2021 were mostly filmed for my vlogeration series, which, like I say, vlogeration is probably one of the best series that I've done on the Zea Tea channel. So I am proud of the series, and most of all, I'm proud of how it ended. I feel like episode 16 is as good enough of an ending that we would have got for vlogeration as a series. So I'm pretty happy that episode is the one that bookends the whole thing. But I will get into more detail as to vlogeration as a whole and my retrospective opinion on the series. But yeah, in broad strokes, that's the reason why I stopped vlogging. It's because I was also fatigued of having to film everything that I was doing in my life. I felt like I wanted the privacy, and also I felt like vlogeration had become a series that had so much expectation behind it that if I were to upload a stinker episode of the series, then the series would fall off and I'd feel disappointed. So whereas I ended it at episode 16, and most of the episodes of vlogeration I'm super proud of, some more than others. Obviously there were some absolute belters, there were some great ones, like vlogeration episode 13 superb, one of the best ones ever. Episode 2 is good. I also like episode 9, and episode 10 solid. And episode 16 is also good as well. So, you know, I decided to stop Vlogeration and stop vlogging temporarily. So Vlogeration won't be coming back as a series. That series is done that's finished indefinitely, not returning. Just want to quickly get that out there at the start of this, because I know that some people want to see me vlog more, and I am planning to vlog more while I'm here, which is why I did the moving to Cardiff vlog last week, is because I wanted to get back into vlogging a bit, but I want these vlogs to be more standalone so that there's no expectation behind them. I don't really want it to be part of an episodic series like Vlogeration was, because like I say, I felt like a pressure to keep up with like uploading them more frequently, whereas if I do these standalone vlogs here and there whenever I feel like it, I feel like I'll have more freedom to experiment more with how I'd make the vlogs more different from each other, whereas Vlogeration really did have the set formula. It was a good formula. Everyone enjoyed it who watched it, which is nice and humbling. But I've been there, done that. 16 episodes strong. It's time to move on to a different, experiment more with it. I felt like I was doing the same thing. But that's why moving to Cardiff was quite a different vlog than what I've done on the podcast before, in a funny way. I tried to make the video as funny and as fun as possible, and also interesting on a few different levels, like obviously showing like me choosing what stuff to pack, and then also the montage travel bit, which recaptures the magic of what people liked of Vlogeration, and then the unboxing bit that I did near the end. So, you know, there's a bunch of different bits in the vlog that I just did that people will enjoy, hopefully, but I don't want to just stick to one formula when it comes to vlogs. Like, I've got an idea for a video which involves vlogging a few days of my life in order, but it relates to like a challenge, so it's not just a straightforward, just film, you know, a few days of my life and then add some music and edit it so that it looks professional enough. That was Vlogeration, been there, done that, you know, whereas I have more things what I want to do outside of just the niches that I've kind of found myself accidentally slipping into, like, but yeah, long story short, Vlogeration is not coming back, but vlogs will. Vlogs in general will. Maybe not as frequently as Vlogeration did, but I will start to vlog a bit more. I've definitely got at least 1 or 2 more vlogs planned before the end of this year. Like I say, the one that's just come out, but then there's 2 more, hopefully. I've got 2 more cool ideas which you guys should hopefully enjoy. I hope you guys enjoy it, because they're cool ideas. I haven't developed them fully yet, but yeah, it'll be fun, man. Right, what's next on the docket for this podcast? Oh yes, behind the scenes. So just in general, behind the scenes for the channel at the moment, I did want to give you a little bit of insight as to what's coming up, and also give you a little bit of BTS, like I say, for the videos that have come out so far. What's the latest video? Obviously I've told you about moving to Cardiff, but then the Judas Priest ranking video, that's a video that I recorded. I'm recording this video October, but the Judas Priest video was recorded back in July, I want to say, so quite a while ago, but it came out and you guys seemed to enjoy it, so yeah, that's cool. I am contemplating starting a poll on the community tab of the channel, asking you guys what band you want me to rank the albums of next, which is something I'm very interested in doing. I'm very interested in doing more album ranking videos. I've been considering doing Slayer, Slayer. But then also I've been thinking of doing Dream Theater, Amon Amarth, and Typo Negative. Also been contemplating Manowar, and then also, what was the other one? Bloodbath. I don't know when I'll get to do all of those, but I will put up a poll for a few of those bands and see which ones you vote for that you want to see first, and then we'll go from there. Maybe we'll workshop it and see what people actually want to see in terms of the album rankings, because I get that not as many people will have heard a band like Bloodbath, whereas a lot of people would have heard the band Slayer, so people will probably end up voting for Slayer over a band like Bloodbath, but who knows? But yeah, as for I want to do behind the scenes for Blast from the Past Series 3. This will be a nice 5-minute, hopefully not 10-minute segment, but a little while. I want to talk about Blast from the Past Series 3. Blast from the Past Series 3, I am so proud of. It is obviously recently finished. Like in the last month, I uploaded the final episode of Series 3, which was not watching the finale. Go watch Blast from the Past Series 3. Blast from the Past Series 3 is genuinely one of the best things to come out on my channel, and I'm not just saying that. At least for me personally, Blast from the Past Series 3 is one of the proudest things that I don't think there's even one thing that I'd change from this product, to be honest. Obviously, each episode has its teething issues, it's not perfect, but my god, man, the Blast from the Past Series 3 went above and beyond what I expected it would be. To put a little bit of context, Blast from the Past is a series where I react to old cringy vids of mine, and I started it in 2019, technically in 2018 actually, but anyway, and then I did a Series 2 in 2019. 2020, sorry. The only reason Series 2 actually happened is because of lockdown, because I had nothing else to post, because I thought Series 2 stank, and it does kind of stink in comparison to how good Series 3 is, but Series 2 is okay. But Series 3, man, I'm really proud of it. The thing is with Series 3, once I got in the groove of it and I got a pattern of like, okay, so this is how we edit these new episodes of Lost in the Past, because I had to really revamp and reboot the series from scratch and think, okay, so here's the formula that worked before, let's try and upgrade it and make it different, like the intro credits, and then obviously how the episodes form together. And yeah, there was a lot of things that I did renovate with the series compared to Series 2 to Series 3. Series 3 had a big glow up. Yeah, 9 episodes this time. Obviously the usual episode number of each season is 5 episodes. I've upped it to 9. That was the best case scenario, by the way. I had when I wrote out the rubric of what episodes I would like to see happen in Series 3, it was pretty much the exact same listing as the episodes that actually came out. Minecraft Tutorials was always going to be number 1. Number 2 was probably going to be That's the Joke. Episode 3, my first short film, also known as Lights Out. I don't know what the title was originally, but it was going to be one of those. Old Doctor Who reviews, getting out of Doctor Who is the title that I gave it, but getting back into Doctor Who was the video. The Team Torchwood episode, which I'll talk about in a second. Then college vlogs, Fandom Menace, and not watching the finale was episode 9, and it happened pretty much exactly how I envisioned it. That never usually happens. Usually when I plan something, if it's a series with a set number of episodes, I usually always plan for more than I'll actually get. So I'm like, okay, if I plan for 9 episodes, worst case scenario, we get 5 episodes again. Like hopefully we get 7 episodes out of Series 3, maybe 8 episodes. But no, we got 9. We got 9 episodes. At the actual start of developing Series 3, the original sort of disaster planning nature of Series 3 was that, okay, so if I can't get anyone to come back for Series 3, at least I know, because I'd spoken to Joe beforehand, if I were to do a Blast from the Past Series 3, would you be in it, and how many episodes? He goes, as many as you want, and yes. So I go, great. So worst case scenario, no one else says yes to being with me in Blast from the Past Series 3. We have 5 episodes, 2 of them will be with Joe, and then the other 3 will be me solo. That's genuinely what I had to plan for, because it was that up in the air at the start. But then, like I say, I sent out the invitations to Mark, to Kane, to Morgan, and I was like, hey, do you guys want to come back and record some Blast from the Past episodes for this new series that I'm doing? And they all said yes. And I thought, well shit, we're off to the races then. We've got a series. I was genuinely flabbergasted that everyone said yes. So I thought, okay, let's go extravagant then. Let's also bring my mum on for an episode for the behind the scenes of when she helped me with an old really shit short film, horror short that I did back before the channel in 2015. And then obviously I had the episode with Joe that came out towards the end of the series as well, episode 8. But every episode is a banger in my opinion. I think every episode is at least solid. And everyone is so different from each other though. The first episode, the Minecraft Tutorials, does the job. It's good because it is just an establishing act. It needs to be a solo one so that I can reintroduce you to how the series is going to be. It's nothing extravagant, but it works. Episode 2 is the re-establishing act. Blast from the Past is the series that's going to be great, and Episode 2 accentuates that because Episode 2 is amazing. Episode 2 is an absolute gem in Series 3. And then Episode 3 is another good one. I like that one with my mum in there. Mum killed it. She was more funnier than I expected she'd be because she hadn't really performed on camera for a video like that on my channel before, so it was an experience for her. But the notes I gave her before we started recording were, look, if you have a funny joke while we're watching, just say it, and then if you think it doesn't land or I think the joke doesn't land, we'll cut it out in post. Just say whatever you want while we're reacting to the short film, and I can either cut around it and she killed it, man. She killed it, and that's obviously the rubric that I tell everyone that's joining, Blast from the Past for an episode or two. Episode 4 is a mad one. The old Doctor Who reviews episode with Kane and Morgan. That was an interesting episode because the original idea was that episode 4 was going to be split in half, and it was going to be 2 parts. As you can imagine, part 1 was going to be the stuff I did with Kane, and then part 2 was going to be the stuff I did with Morgan. But considering those 2 episodes would feel very, very similar, like they would see. Oh, there's a train driving past the window. I apologise if you can hear that, guys. But like I say, like both parts of that episode, if episode 4 was 2 episodes, they'd feel too similar and there wouldn't be much special about them, but meshing them together makes it quite a strong episode, and quite a different episode as well, because it has so much moving parts, because it has the stuff with Kane, and then I cut from the stuff with Kane to Morgan here and there throughout the episode, so it doesn't feel janky or disjointed, doesn't suddenly cut to the next one in the same episode. It works, in my opinion. I think it's edited quite well. But the original plan for episode 4 was that I also was going to react to the solo stuff that I did on Team Torchwood in the old Doctor Who reviews, but that would have extended the runtime of that episode up to literally over an hour, which literally, as you can probably imagine, meant that stuff had to be pushed into a different episode, aka episode 6, which is the episode Team Torchwood, which I decided to extend. But real quick, on to episode 5. Me and Morgan reacted to getting back into Doctor Who skit that we did back in 2017, which it's a good skit and we laughed, and any episode that Morgan's in, it's going to be funny because Morgan just has this natural sense of humour that just steals the show every time. So I know that if I've got Morgan in an episode, it's going to bang regardless of what we're reacting to. We can react to a fucking video of just a rock rolling down a hill and Morgan would save that video from being a disaster because he's just got that natural comedic timing that I think that is really underrated. But anyway, episode 6 was the Team Tortured episode, but just so happened to also land on the week of the 6-year anniversary of the channel, which is so mad. But also, like I say, I turned that video into a celebration of the 6 years that this channel's been around, which is why the Team Tortured episode extended from just me reacting to my solo reviews that I did to being about all of the extra Team Tortured videos that haven't been reacted to yet on Blast from the Past, and that's what episode 6 was. And it works. It's one of my favourite ones of series 3, actually. Episode 7, the college vlogs. It's self-explanatory. It's me and Mark reacting to college vlogs, much like when Morgan's in an episode of Blast from the Past. When Mark's in an episode, Mark brings this sort of chaos that is usually really entertaining, so Mark makes the college vlogs episode of Blast from the Past really, really funny. And also the material that we're reacting to is funny to begin with, so it is an automatic banger. The Fandom Menace. Yeah, another good one. I feel like in retrospect there was something missing from that episode. I feel like we should have reacted to another thing on top of it. I won't spoil what that thing we should have reacted to was in case we do it for a Series 4 episode, or mash it in on the end of a Series 4 episode or whatever. But that was a mistake. I feel like the episode could have and should have been longer, because as it stood, we just reacted to a 1-minute skit plus a 5-minute bloopers reel for it. So I still like it though. It's still saved by me and Joe's just chemistry on camera, so the episode works. And then episode 9, not watching the finale, another solid one. Not the best finale of Blast from the Past that we've had, but it is a really, really good one. It's a really good ending to the series. It's nice and sweet, not too long, doesn't waste your time. And considering how long the series is this time, most episodes have been last 2 seasons have just been 5 episodes, and then Series 3 is nearly double the amount of the usual Blast from the Past season. So the fact that the finale is nice and short but sweet is probably necessary, and we don't want a finale being super duper long if the rest of the series is also super duper long. But yeah. But enough about Blast from the Past for now. If I remember anything else that I want to talk about for Blast from the Past, then I'll inject it in this video somewhere. But yeah. So, next thing that I want to talk about is, other stuff that's been going on in my life. I went and saw, back when that was a thing, this is a Doctor Who topic by the way, all you Doctor Who fans that might still be clinging on to life on this channel, perk up your ears. I got to see the live screening in the cinema of Peter Cushing's Doctor Who and the Daleks and the Dalek Invasion Earth 2150 AD. And that was one of the coolest experiences ever, because those two Dalek movies from that time were, like, I got the DVD of those two movies when I was really young, so those two movies have a substantial amount of nostalgia attached for me, and I've got a fucking nasal in my nose. Sorry, that was gross. I might try to cut that out. If I don't, then haha, sucks to be you. Anyway, so yeah, the Peter Cushing movies. It was such a surreal experience seeing them on the big screen. That was something that I never thought I'd ever be able to do, is see those two films on the big screen. And it's mad that they're like 90 minutes each, and like if you smash those two Dalek movies together, they still don't amount up to the same runtime of, I don't know, Avengers Endgame or whatever, all these other Marvel films that are coming out at the moment. It doesn't even hold a candle to how long those ones are, but yeah. But yeah, it was a great experience. I loved it. And I love those films even more now, seeing them on the big screen. They're still just so entertaining, both of them. I would say I love them equally, but I am partial to the Dalek Invasion of Earth, just because I watched that one a lot more when I was younger. But the other one's great too, don't get me wrong, I love them both. But yeah, the other thing that I did was I went into London. This was like late in the summer, just before it closed. I think it closed now, but it was the London experience of Stranger Things. It was the Stranger Things like walkthrough thing. For the Doctor Who fans, it's basically what Time Fracture is, except it's a lot shorter and a lot more money, for some reason. It was alright. The Stranger Things thing was alright. In case of any spoilers, I will not go ahead and talk about what happens in it, in case anyone hasn't gone to it yet. But it was decent. It's not worth the money that I paid for it, but it was still a good experience, and I'm glad I went, but I wouldn't go again. It's that sort of review that I'm giving it. But it was very enjoyable. I think that the acting, like the actual like in real life actors that got to take you around the sets and that and pretend to be characters and try to immerse you, those are the people. That's what saved it really, because they were very entertaining to watch and also like serious, and it worked. It was immersive but also amusing and entertaining in that way. But yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun. Like I say, I wouldn't go again, but it was. I'm glad to say that I've gone and experienced it. But speaking of Stranger Things real quick, Stranger Things Season 4. Great stuff. I mean, the thing is that Stranger Things is a great show, and I do really, really like it. It's probably like a top 10 show for me. It's not like a top 5, I don't think, but I don't really have a top 5 favourite shows. Maybe I'll do a video on a top 10 favourite shows. Thinking of video ideas right now, holy shit. Anyway, yeah, Stranger Things 4, great stuff. It is really, really fun. I'm a bit, it's getting a bit on my nerves with everyone referring to me as Eddie Munson now, just because I'm a metalhead and I have a battle vest. Am I pointing in the right direction? Yeah, you see that battle vest? Everyone calls me Eddie Munson when I wear it, so that's a bit annoying. But besides that, it's a great show and it's a great season. My only criticism is, instead of making the episodes so long, make more episodes. Like, you can split the finale of Series 4 of my brain's fried, of Stranger Things into 3 separate episodes, and it still would go over an hour for each one, I think, because I think the episode was like 3 hours something. So, yeah. But no, Stranger Things 4, great stuff. Great stuff. I can't wait for the final season. Even if it needs the final season, I can't imagine Netflix will want their cash cow to end at Series 5, but who knows? Next on the docket is also, I want to talk about one of my favourite shows ever, Rick and Morty, Nick and Rorty, Mick and Clawty. Yeah, I love Rick and Morty, and I want to talk about it on this podcast because Series 6 has just been so fucking good. Series 6, I mean, we've still got 4 episodes left, I think. Maybe we have more, I don't know. But as of recording this, we've only had 6 episodes out. The final episode that we saw was the one that was called Jurassic Mort. I think that's how you call that one, but it's the basically spoiler alert for Rick and Morty Season 6. It's where they get their portal gun working again. At the end of the episode though, but that's that episode that I'm on about. That's the latest one, and we're at 6 episodes in, and there's not been an episode that stinks in this whole season. Every episode has at least been average to solid to amazing. I'm going to go through and talk about each episode briefly. I won't talk about it too much, but obviously since we did do a podcast on Rick and Morty from seasons 1 to 5, I feel like I do need to talk about Series 6 at least a little bit. But episode 1 is one of the best episodes of the whole show. Straight up, it's that good. The stuff with Rick Prime that they introduced seems so interesting, and I can't wait to see where that develops. Also, it's fucking hilarious. Also, it just really works for the lore of the show. Like, it does feel like the showrunners aren't hiding from adding more lore to the show now. It felt like in the seasons 3, 4, and 5, they were kind of backhandedly giving us like one lore episode a season, if even that, and then backhandedly they break the fourth wall via Rick or Morty saying, "Oh, you fans, you don't actually care about the comedy. You just want stuff. You want to know about evil Morty. That's it." So, but yeah, episode 1 feels like a very grown-up way to start the season. It's really, really good though. It's a banger. Episode 2, the Roy episode, is the weakest of the first 6 episodes of season 6, but it's still solid. It still works, and I like the character development that they're giving Morty now. Great stuff, love it. Keep doing what you're doing, because even the worst episode of season 6 is a good one. So keep at this quality. Adult Swim, you're doing great. And then episode 3 is the Beth episode that anyone who's watched season 6 knows this episode. I think it was the fucking funniest episode of season 6. Admittedly, the subject matter is a bit weird. The idea of like Rick and Morty just continually doing more incest jokes in the show is a bit questionable. But outside of that angle, it's a banger of an episode, man. I think it was such a fucking funny episode, in my opinion. It's a controversial one, but I enjoy it. It was a funny one, and it makes me laugh every time, especially when you see the reaction of Morty in the episode. Hilarious stuff. And then episode 4 was the Night Family episode. You know me, I'm a horror buff. I love horror movies, and the Night Family is a love letter to Jordan Peele's films. So of course I'm going to love this episode. It's so fucking good. I love it. It just feels like such a different episode, and it's a banger, man. It's a real banger. Episode 5 was the Rick and Jerry episode this season, where it's like the fortune cookie episode. Amazing episode. The only thing that is a bit questionable is how far they lean into the incest stuff in that episode as well. But besides that, a banger of an episode. It was hilarious, and I was a big fan of the season 3 episode, The Whirly Durly Conspiracy, which I'm a big Jerry fan, and any Rick and Jerry episode that the show gives us, I'm going to love, regardless of what subject matter's in it. So yeah, that was another win. And then episode 6, the one with the alien dinosaurs or whatever, another good one. It was fun, and the ending is what lands the episode, because otherwise it would have been just a run-of-the-mill episode with a kind of interesting climax. It's a cool climax because it makes Rick more likeable. But yeah, no, like I said, episode 6 is good as well. So far, season 6 has had nothing but banger episodes. This is shaping up to being the best season of the show. Will it beat season 2 though? I guess we'll find out, won't we? But I'll shut up about Rick and Morty now. In fact, I'm going to go on a commercial break. And after that commercial break, we'll move on to the Amazon Review of the Week. And then after that, I want to talk about Rick and Morty's... I'm having a brain fart. We're going to talk about The Walking Dead Season 11, because I am desperate to talk about it. But for now, see you after these commercials. I'm going to quickly just go restart my brain, because I am having strokes left, right and centre. And not the good kind. Goodbye for now.
He waits. That's what he does. And I'll tell you what. Tick followed tock, followed tick, followed tock, followed tick. He is still waiting.
Hello and welcome back from that commercial break. This Amazon review is by a person called Josh and it was posted on November 8th, 2017. It's a 5-star review and it is titled, "It's Heavy." Sometimes I receive documents in larger than your average size and it's clearly labelled, "Do not bend." My mailman seems to be lazy or incompetent or both, and instead of leaving these documents on my doorstep or porch, because that would require getting out of the car, he bends and folds them, then stuffs them into my mailbox anyway. This often will crease the important documents or photos. So whenever this happens, I log on to Amazon and order a 50 lb bag of play sand. While it doesn't decrease my documents, it makes me feel a lot better watching him deliver it. 199 people found this helpful. Excellent stuff. Round of applause for Josh. But there you go. That's my Amazon review for this podcast. There'll be more to come. Hopefully the Amazon reviews of the week will continue to be seen. But yeah, on to Walking Dead Season 11 because I do really want to talk about it. The Walking Dead is on its final season, that being Series 11. And I am hoping that it lands. I'm almost traumatized by the ending of Game of Thrones. I am so worried that Walking Dead will end badly like Game of Thrones. I hope it doesn't, but there's still that little bit of doubt in the back of my mind that it will. Regardless if it ends good or badly though, I have a video idea in mind that I am looking to post regardless if the ending is good or bad, and that's ranking every single season of The Walking Dead from worst to best, from worst to best, all the way from Series 1 all the way to Series 11 in order of my favourite to least, or least favourite to favourite. So far, Series 11 has been really good. It won't be my favourite season of the whole show. But the fact it has so many episodes does show that the showrunners still care about telling the story in a correct amount of episodes. Because the original plan for the show, in interviews this was revealed, that the show was meant to end at the end of Series 12, and it was going to end Series 12 on a 16-episode run, but because of COVID, that couldn't happen. So what they did is they took out the 16 episodes that would have been in Series 12, stuck 6 of those episodes on the end of Series 10, and then the other 8 episodes onto the somewhere in the mix of Series 11, so that you still get the same amount of episodes we would have gotten if we got a Series 12, but it just means the previous 2 seasons would be extended so that the story can be told in the adequate amount of time that it needs to tell that story, which I applaud the showrunners for. So it shows me there is still a semblance of hope for getting a good ending of The Walking Dead. Oh my god, there are police sirens outside. I hope everyone's okay. Also, shush, I'm recording a podcast. I'm joking. But yeah, I'm hoping that Series 11 ends good. If it doesn't and it ends like Game of Thrones did, I don't know what I'll do, man, because Game of Thrones' ending broke me. Because Game of Thrones was one of the best shows ever made. There was nothing wrong with it. And then Series 7, you saw the cracks start to form. And then Series 8 happened, and everything fell apart at the seams. And then some. I was very disappointed, to say the least. I didn't expect that a show that great could fall so hard on its face, but it did. And Walking Dead is a far cry from being the best show of all time, but it is one of my favourites. I've been watching it since 2014. The first episode that I ever watched live was Too Far Gone from Series 4. What a banger of an episode to start with, am I right? I've obviously since gone back and watched the first 3 seasons, and then, like I say, I've followed it ever since Series 4. Madness. Absolute, just amazing ride it's been. I've enjoyed most of it. Some of it has been a bit Some of it has made me want to question whether I want to continue watching it, but for the most part it's been a great show. I've enjoyed almost all of it. So if it doesn't end good, if it ends like Game of Thrones or any underwhelming ending, I'll be so broken, man. Because Game of Thrones I got into around like the age of 2015, so I was 15 years old, whereas Game of Thrones I was 13. So I've been with Walking Dead longer, I've been more passionate about the show for longer, so God forbid the show ends badly. I hope it doesn't. But yeah, do I give my predictions of how the show will end? I guess I'll talk about who I think will die at the end of the show. That'd be a cool thing to predict. Who the fuck is slamming doors outside? The place I'm in is very noisy, wherever I am, so this is not the best place to recording podcasts. I'll hopefully do more in the future, but anyway. So, who do I think will die? Maybe Aaron. Maybe Eugene, though I hope he doesn't. I don't think Daryl will, because he has a spin-off going on. Unless the spin-off is a ruse and it's just a way to lure us away from the scent. It's just a fake spin-off that isn't actually real. But then the same can be said about Negan and Maggie, because they also have a spin-off that should be coming out after the show's over, but we don't know, do we? But regardless, it's going to be an interesting thing to see how the show ends, because it's in a very, very different place than how the comics were close to ending. Because Rick, for one, was in the comics at this stage in the story, whereas he's not now. So was Carl, so was Andrea. Well, no, Andrea wasn't, but Michonne was. But yeah, anyway, let's refer to my notes. Okay, cool. I think I'm about done talking about Walking Dead. Basically, I'm hoping to do a video ranking all the seasons from worst to best after the show is over. But yeah, until then, I also right now want to quickly go through and quickly review a ton of metal albums that have come out in the last 4 months or so. This is a little bit of time coming, especially some of these albums that came out a little while ago. I have been wanting to get my 2 cents out about, because some of these albums that have come out recently are banging, man, and I want to just praise them. And some of them have been less good. But we'll talk about all of them, shall we? We'll start off in some sort of order of release. I don't know how accurate of a release order this is, so we're going to try and keep this in some semblance of an order, but if it's not in complete chronological order, I'm sorry, write it in your blog. The first one I want to talk about, though, is a very underwhelming one, unfortunately. It's Sabaton's latest one, The War to End All Wars. I like Sabaton. They have been in the past one of my favourite bands of all time. I don't know where they stand now, but this new album is a stinker. It might be my least favourite of their career. That's a bit of a harsh statement. I mean, I didn't like Arteo Dominatus either, but at least that one has a few more standout songs than on War to End All Wars. The only things that I like on this album is Stormtroopers and then Unkillable Soldier. It just feels like The Great War Part 2. It really does. And I don't like the spoken word stuff in the last track. It just annoys me. It just has no place, in my opinion. And I know that they're going for this history metal sort of subgenre. They want to revolutionise that, but it's like, dude, you were the masters of power metal. Dude, I know you've always been writing songs about real world, like, history, battles and wars and stuff, but now they're just... Oh, it feels like they're just dipping into the back of their discography and they're just going for whatever worked before, when really they should try something different, which is what they did on The Great War and succeeded, because that's one of the best albums ever. In fact, it's my personal favourite. And then they follow that up with this, which is why I'm so disappointed. But yeah, it's not a great one. I think it might actually be my least favourite Sabaton album. I know that's a bit harsh, but I never find myself wanting to go back to this one. Whenever I'm thinking of sticking on a Sabaton album, I always reach for The Great War or The Last Stand or Heroes. Those three come to mind immediately, but then also Prima Victoria, Carolus Rex is also another album that springs to mind. Even Metalizer from the earliest part of their career. But nothing on this, man. Nothing on this. Coat of Arms is better than this. And like I say, maybe Arteo Dominatus is better than this as well. It's just not a great album. It is a far cry from how good The Great War was. Considering this album just feels like B-sides from that. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to stop talking about that one now because I feel like I'm pissing people off. But the second one I want to talk about is Amon Amarth, which is the newest one, The Great Heathen Army. It's okay. It's an alright album. Amon Amarth is one of my favourite bands ever, so I feel like they've never made anything that annoys me. Most of the stuff they've made has been solid, and people don't even like the Berserker album, and yet I can tolerate that one. The Berserker album's quite good in my opinion, but people don't like it, but I'm a contrarian. But The Great Heathen Army feels like samey. It feels like a lot of them going through the motions, like it's a cut and paste album, like a lot of stuff that they've done before just shoved on this new album with a new coat of paint. But it's still good. Like, I like it. There were just not as many songs that land for me. Get in the Ring is solid, but it's just a single, so it's like obviously that one's gonna land. And then I do like Saxons and Vikings. Who doesn't? It's a great track. Even though the vocalist of Saxons, it doesn't really suit how Amon Amarth sounds, but I do like I love the fact that Saxon collabed with Amon Amarth. It just really warms my soul that that's happened. So I can forgive it. It's still a good song, especially with the instrumentation. I really enjoy that. And then The Great Heathen Army, the song, is solid, and that's about where my praises end. Everything else on the album is kind of a mismatch of stuff we've already heard before from Amon Amarth. Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I do like it. It's still okay. They've not made an album that I don't like. But yeah, it's not as good as other ones that they've made. I feel like the early stages in their career, like The Crusher and Versus the World and The Raven, or whatever it's called, Odin on Our Side, and Twilight of Thunder God, Surtur Rising as well. Those albums is like their apex, and it feels like their stuff now, like, it feels like they're just kind of making the same album over and over, and that's fine. It's a tried and tested formula that people enjoy. I would just like a little bit more. I would have enjoyed a little bit more of a pushing the boat out a bit more and seeing what else they could do. Another thing that confused me is why they didn't put you back into the Ore on this album, considering that single came out earlier this year as well, and that was a banger. It was a banger of a track. The fact they didn't release that with, In the Ring onto this album, it was a shock to me. But anyway, it's a solid album, nothing to write home about. It's okay. It's a fine album. Next I want to talk about is Municipal Waste. I have the track listings here because I don't know this album as well as the other two I just spoke about. But I liked this one a lot. This is one of my favourite Municipal Waste albums. It's actually really good. I don't really know what to say. I think that Grave Dive is my favourite on here. What I like about this one is it really accentuates the sort of punky thrash that Municipal Waste is great at, and this album kind of accentuates that side of the band that they've really homed in on properly. It's really good. The title track on here is good. The Demoralizer is a good track. Last Crawl is good. High Speed Steel is solid. The first time I listened to it, it felt like a big run-on song for the whole album, but I enjoy that because I'm a big prog fan, so I considering it like every song kind of really, really worked together, even though they don't all have like a flowing transition from one song to another, they still really fit the same vibe, and it was a really fun listen. It was really energetic and cool and excitable. Yeah, it was good stuff. It was really, really good stuff. I really, really like it. Next one, I won't talk about some of the albums that I know less about, but what I will talk about a bit more is Witchery's Nightside, because Witchery is a band in the last like 12 to 16 months that has quickly become one of my favourite bands. Witchery is sorely underrated. They are black and thrash, and they're great. I think that Nightside is actually one of my favourites of the band, and it may be recency bias, but it may not be. But when this album first came out, I spammed it, man. Some of my favourite tracks are Witch Krieg. Pope Crusher is a barn burner of a song. Yeah, it's just an amazing album. I love Witching Hour as well. It's just a great album. Yeah, Nightside is a great album by Witchery. I think that Witchery is a pretty consistent band as it is, but this album really does... It's a really good jumping on point for the band as well. I feel like new fans definitely probably kind of latch onto this album a bit more, which is probably why I enjoy it so much, because I'm fairly new to Witchery. Like I say, it was only in the last like 12 to 15, 16 months ago that I first discovered them. And ever since, my love for them has been growing and growing. And then this new album came out, and I'm like, holy shit, they released a banger here. And that they did. The next one I want to talk about is Soulfly, Totem. I discovered Soulfly because I love Sepultura, obviously. Sepultura is one of my favourite bands of all time. And Soulfly is obviously... it's obviously a little side project, but is great. I love this band, and I love the album Totem. Rot in Pain is a great one. Filth Upon Filth is a great song. Scourging the Vile is really good. Ancestors is another really, really good one. It's a great album. It's a great album. I just highly recommend this one. If you're into groove metal with a little splash of death metal in there, great stuff. Go check out Soulfly, and then maybe go check out their newest album Totem, because it is a really, really good one. It's a really good one. I really recommend this one as well. One of their best albums, in my opinion. High praise, I know, but it is a really good one. And they've released a lot of albums. Soulfly have released a lot of albums, so... But no, I highly recommend it. Right, next is Arch Enemy's Deceivers. I love Arch Enemy. Let's just put that out of the way first before I talk about this album. Yeah, War Eternal, one of my favourite death metal albums of all time, one of my favourite albums in general. Doomsday Machine is another one of my favourite death metal albums ever. Amazing albums. Great band. This new album isn't it, though, in my opinion. It has stuff that I feel like is a bit tired. I feel like the formula of the triumphant death metal and the more melodic, upbeat sort of triumphant style they're going for, it's kind of played out. I feel like they tried it on the album before this one, and it didn't really land as well, and yet they tried to do it again on this one. This new one is better than their previous one. I forget what it's called, but it had The World is Ours, The World is Yours, I think the song is called. That song's good, but the rest of the album is a bit but it's an okay album. Handshake in Hell is good. The title track, Deceivers, is a good track. But it does feel like a bit like Arch Enemy going through the motions a bit, and much like with my criticism of a Monomath, I like it when bands experiment with their sound and try something new. I don't like it if a band releases the same album twice in principle. I know I'm being slightly hyperbolic, but it does feel like they're kind of going through the motions a bit with this one. It's still good though. I still jammed it and enjoyed most of it. It just feels like a lot of the same shit that I've heard before on their later stages in their career, and I kind of want something new, which is my criticism for a Monomath as well, but to a lesser degree. But Arch Enemy, it's an okay album. Just try and push the boat a bit more next time. Try to innovate a bit more. Next one, Machine Heads of Kingdom and Crown. Let me get that up on my computer. I was pausing there because I want to make sure that I've got it. This was a good one. This was a really good album. This is one of Machine Head's best albums. Not as good as The Blackening. The Blackening is probably my favourite of theirs, but I do also love Burn My Eyes. That's a really, really good one. But this is up there, man. This is a really, really good one. If you haven't heard this album, I'll give you some song recommendations, but most of the album is good. There isn't really that much of a skip on here. The only skips I would say is maybe Slaughter the Martyr is a bit forgettable, Hallowed is a bit... and then Kill Thy Enemies is but then the rest of it is really good. But I will give you some standout tracks here. So Assimilate is heavy, Rotten is brutal and grisly, it's a really good track. Bloodshot is my personal favourite, but it does feel like a very generic radio nugget type of a song. Unhallowed, yeah, and then My Hands Are Empty is alright, but Become the Firestorm, yes, Become the Firestorm is everything that I love about Machine Head. It's good stuff. And then Choke on the Ashes of Your Hate is another really, really good track as well. But it's a solid album. Well done, Machine Head. You've really you've really done some good shit here. Just keep doing more of what this is. Just keep at it, man. You've got a good thing going here. Great album. Next one I want to talk about is Decapited's Cancer Culture. Great album title. Moving on now. I'm joking. It's a good album. It's a really good album. What I will say is it feels like they're doing the same thing that they did before, which is fine. But like I've said with other ones, it's good to innovate sometimes, to try to test out where else you can take your musical sound. Like step out of your comfort zone a bit. Not too much, but try to actually, just dip your toes in the water into some other experimentation and see what works and what doesn't. That's a nice thing to do. Even if it's just on a couple tracks in the album, it's a good, safe way to experiment, in my opinion. But yeah, it's an okay album though. It does the job. It's a fun one. But yeah, next one. We have my favourite of the year so far. It's Bloodbath's Survival of the Sickest. I'm gonna have a swig of this drink because I can. And my throat is dying as well. But I will continue to talk because this album is fucking excellent. This is one of Bloodbath's best albums. Admittedly, Bloodbath has not released a bad album, so it's good to know that their track record is still on top form. They're still releasing bangers. This album is one of the best. This is possibly Bloodbath's best album with Nick Holmes as vocalist. And also they got a new guy in the band this time to replace the guy that was only in the era of Satan Is Drawn. That guy was mostly his pedigree was more black metal. I don't know his name, but then they replaced him with I think he was the guitarist for Lick, and Lick is another great death metal band that I love and adore. So seeing him collaborate with Bloodbath, the good stuff. He really did bring something to the table in this album that I love. So thank you, sir. But yes, Survival of the Sickest is one of my favourite albums. It might be too soon to say if it is my absolute favourite Bloodbath, but it's one of them. It is definitely top 2, top 3, easy. Let's go through some of my favourite tracks. All of them, I love all the songs in the album. All 11 tracks are great. I will say my absolute favourite is No God Before Me. It's the most evil sounding song that I've heard in a long time. It's brutal, it's heavy, and it's enjoyable. It's bone crushingly heavy, but it's so good. I also really, really love Zombie Inferno. Carved, a great death metal anthem. I love Carved, it's a great song. Also, Malignant Maggot Therapy. It feels like that song is an homage to Cannibal Corpse, so I'm obviously going to enjoy that one. Also, Petrified Corpse, or Putrefied Corpse is actually how it's pronounced. But yeah, that's another really good track. It had Barney Greenway as guest vocals on that album, on that song as well. Really, really works, to be honest. I also really like Affliction of Extinction. That's a really, really good track. Tales of Rotting Flesh, another banger. Environside is also really, really good. Dead Parade is solid. There's nothing bad on this album. To Die, Born Infernal. There's just every single track is great on this album. This is a album of bangers. There is a zero skip on this thing. So high praise, I know, but it is easily the best death metal album that's come out this year, and it's not even close for me personally, at least. You may disagree, and that's okay. We're entitled to our own opinions, but I will move on to the next one, which is Megadeth's newest, which is The Sick, the Dying and the Dead. For those of you that have watched my channel, you know that I am not the biggest Megadeth fan. Not because I don't like them, but because I haven't ever bothered to listen to them. The only album of theirs that I do go back and listen to at all is Rust in Peace, and that admittedly is a banger of an album, but I also do like Countdown to Extinction, and recently I've enjoyed more stuff on their Discog, like Peace Sells. Peace Sells is a good album. But this new one is also okay. It feels a bit silly and tongue-in-cheek. I don't know whether that's just how Megadeth sounds nowadays, whether they're playing into that sound. But if not, then maybe that's a fault on the album. But I'm not saying it is. But maybe that's just how they sound nowadays, and that's fine. But it's okay. It's an alright album. I didn't hate it. It was interesting to see what Megadeth sounds like nowadays, because I haven't ever poked my head in the door and saw what they're making at the moment. I've only ever, like I said, gone back to Rust in Peace and Countdown to Extinction, and more recently Peace Sells. But yeah, this album's okay. I think the title track is a bit overrated, but Psychopathy is good. Mission to Mars is quite okay. Killing Time I enjoy. Dogs of Chernobyl was a solid song. Life in Hell was okay, but that's about it really. The other tracks on there are a bit forgettable or a bit annoying. I don't love Dave Mustaine's vocals as well, which might be why I can't really get behind most Megadeth. But I tried. I did try to look past the vocals, and I did find stuff on this album that I enjoyed. So yeah, all you Megadeth fans out there, are you proud of me or are you disappointed? I don't know, and I frankly don't care. But anyway, so next album I want to talk about is... This is an underground band. So no one watching this video would have heard of the band, but this is a death metal album and a band that I really recommend you try out if you haven't already. The band is called Flesh Rot, and the album is called Unburied Corpse. This album is a pure chef's kiss. I'm going to get the album up on my computer. Flesh Rot. Give me that. Oh, this beautiful album. The album cover, for one, is beautifully done. The album's short as well, so if you do want to try it out from front to back, it's not that big of a deal. It's only 27 minutes. But it is an absolute barn burner of an album. This album is almost as good as Survival of the Sickest. You know, the album by Bloodbath that I just praised to high heavens earlier. Yes, this album is almost as good as that, in my opinion. That's how much I enjoyed this one. I do love discovering underground death metal. This is a newer death metal band. They've only released this one album. And like I say, it came out literally like a few months ago. And they released like a single earlier this year, and then they also released a demo in 2020, which I did listen to the demo in 2021, but didn't think anything of it. But then when I saw on my release radar on Spotify that they were releasing an album, I'm like, oh, let's give it a go. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. It was pure lemon stank face, just the whole way through, just really gruesome, just grim death metal. It was really brutal stuff. My favourite tracks on here are Wrapped in Entrails. I think the title track is quite good. Post Burial Extractions is good. In Filth and Pain is another good one. The whole album is good though. If you want to listen to the album the whole way through, like I say, it's only 27 minutes, so it won't take you that long. And if you don't enjoy it, you never have to listen to it again. But if you like death metal, I implore you, go at least rear your head around the corner and see what they're like, or at least try out one track on this album. But yeah, Unburied Corpse by Flesh Rot. I really do recommend it, to be honest. I don't usually go out of my way to recommend underground bands, but this one is a gem. It really is a gem. But yeah, that's it. Next album is Triumvifal's Onslaught to Seraphim. I think Seraphim. I'm going to say Seraphim. Triumvifal. Another good one that I want to talk about. I don't usually talk about an album, especially if it's on this podcast, unless I really enjoyed it. And yes, I say Slaughter to Seraphim. I'm going to say Seraphim is how you pronounce that word. But yeah, they're black metal, so not for everyone. But I love the stuff in Dark Throne, like Panzerfaust and Under a Funeral Moon. So this album was right up my alley. If you're a fan of black metal, then I definitely implore you to check out Triumvifal, this new album, or any other album they've done, because they are quite good. They're more newer. Like their first album they ever released was, I think, in 2015, maybe 2016. So they are a newer band, but they are trying to recapture the old magic of what black metal sounded like back in the 80s, except without the social political garbage that no one wants to talk about. Except with that stuff. Everything else about black metal that was good and how it sounded, that's what they're trying to recapture here. And I am very, very proud of them for trying that. So my favourite tracks is Presage. I don't know how you pronounce that. There are a lot of very, very difficult words to pronounce here, but Flesh Diocese as well is another good track. Infected Virtue is another good track at the end. That's a good closer. It's just a really good album, and much like the Flesh Rot album I just recommended, this one is only 34 minutes. So if you want to listen to a black metal album that won't take you a whole hour to listen to, this one's a good one to go for, especially since it's a new one and a new upcoming black metal band. They're really, really good, and they deserve more credit. They're good. They're really, really good. They're keeping the candle burning for black metal, especially for in today's age. Black metal is being phased out and being it's just being like commercialized, and obviously us metalheads don't like that, do they? Anyway, okay, so this new Behemoth album I want to talk about next. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the album name for this one, because much like the Triumphal album title, I had a bit of trouble. This one's even worse. But what I will say is this album's a banger. This is one of my favourite Behemoth albums now. It may be too soon to say because it is very new and fresh in my mind and recency bias and all that. But I really enjoyed it, man. I really enjoyed this one. I think my favourite is Off to War by far. That song, Off to War, is so good, man. I don't know what it is about it, but something speaks to me in that song that I just really, really just enjoy. It really hits hard, you know. But Post God Nirvana is good. I also like The Deathless Sun. Of My Heraclean Exile, I think is how you pronounce that song name. Another good one. And then Disinheritance is another good track. Once Upon a Pale Horse is pretty solid as well. It's a very traditionally Behemoth sounding song, so if you're after that classic sound, that's a good one to go for. But the whole album's good, in my opinion. But yeah, it's good stuff. It is really, really good stuff. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say there. But yeah, just try out the new Behemoth album. You won't regret it. Next one is Ozzy Osbourne's Patient Number 9, I think it says. Hold on, let me have a look. Yeah, Patient Number 9. I haven't very closely been listening to Ozzy Osbourne's solo career, but this album makes me want to go back and do that. But yeah, it's a solid album. It does the job. It's nothing to write home about, but it's fun. It's a fun album to listen to. No Escape From Now is probably my favourite on the album, but I do like Parasite, because Zakk Wylde. But then One of Those Days is good, Eric Clapton's good on it. Evil Shuffle is good, Dead and Gone is alright. Yeah, that's pretty much my takeaway. Those are some good tracks. The title track is okay as well. It's a bit long, but it's alright, it's solid. Yeah, we have 3 more albums to go through. I realise that we've gone over the hour mark in this podcast, so I will wrap it up in a minute. But I do want to talk about Stratovarius' new album, Survival is what it's called. Yeah, it's good stuff. The title track is great. Broken is a good song. Demand, Firefly is good. Glory Days I really, really like. Breakaway is good. Voice of Thunder is also solid. But yeah, another good album. It's good power metal, that is. Go listen to Stratovarius. Especially if you like them already, go listen to this new album. Next one, Lamb of God, Omens. I loved their previous album. I think it was called Memento Mori, but I loved that album. When that album came out, I spammed it. That album is the sole reason why I got possessed to buy a Lamb of God patch and stick it on my vest. It's still on there. But yeah, that was a good album. This one, not as good, but the previous album was a tough act to follow in my opinion, so I'll forgive it. Nevermore is a good song. Vanishing is okay. Grayscale I enjoy. September Song is okay. Ditch is quite good. And Into the Grave. Those are my favourites, but the actual title track, Omens, is quite good as well. It's solid. It does the job. It's very just average. It will definitely, if there were to be a ranking of like Lamb of God, it would definitely fall into like the middle of the list. It won't be at the bottom, and it definitely won't be at the top, but it's like there, you know? It's solid. But yeah, and now we have the last one, which I have saved till last because some people will definitely be wanting me to talk about this one. We have Slipknot's new one, The End So Far. Not Slipknot's best album, not their worst. I enjoyed some songs on here a lot. I didn't enjoy the album a lot, but I enjoyed some songs. So don't know what the fuck they were thinking with the first song, Adderall. It has no place on the album, and I dislike it. And it should have been cut. Definitely should have. I know that sounds harsh, but I'm standing strong to that. I do not like Adderall. That's a quote. No, I don't like the song Adderall. It is just not good. I don't like it. Yen is also an overrated song. I don't enjoy that one that much. People are sucking its dick a lot, and I'm like, what do you see in that song? You clearly see something that I don't. Acidic is not very good. Heirloom didn't speak to me. The finale is okay, but then Decade is okay. And that's where my criticisms for the album end, because I fucking loved the Dying song. I loved the Chapeltown Rag. That one is probably my favourite on the album, but though I do also really do love Hive Mind, Warranty, Medicine for the Dead, and then H377. Every song from then on is great, to be honest. I especially love Chapeltown Rag. So my takeaway for this album is that there are some songs in here that are super solid and hold my attention, but the album as a whole doesn't hold my attention. There are definitely a lot of skips on here. Like, if I stick on the album, I'm skipping Adderall. Fucking hell I am. And then I'm going to enjoy Dying Song and Chapeltown, then I'm skip Yen, and then Hive Mind, yay, Warranty, yay, and Medicine of the Dead, yeah, good. And then Acidic, Heirloom, and then H377, yeah, that's good. And then the finale is solid, so... But there's a few skips in there which kind of hold it back from being a great album. But it is good, though. It's still fun. It's still good. It's still a solid one. But yeah, that concludes the really bloated segment of me reviewing a ton of metal albums. If you enjoyed this segment, let me know in the comments and I'll do it again. If you don't want me to do this again and you think that it was a waste of time for me to give my opinion on a bunch of metal albums, also say that in the comments. It actually is very, very important for me to know that if you didn't enjoy this segment of the podcast. But I assume if you watched all the way to the end, you did enjoy this segment. So I didn't really think that through, did I? But anyway, that'll do it for this podcast. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys are enjoying the content on the channel so far. What stuff can you look for coming up, though? So I've got a short film which will be coming out next Sunday or Monday. I think I'm hoping that it comes out on Halloween, but I don't know for sure whether it will or not. But I'm planning for it to be on Halloween, so I guess we'll see. After that, there's going to be a new merch update that will come out soon, and then also another cool vlog. I've got a cool idea for a vlog that I want to do that will coincide with what I actually do on Halloween, which will be fun. But I won't spoil what it is in case it doesn't happen, because it is a cool idea, but if things slip through the woodworks with that video, then it'll have to be scrapped. But hopefully it won't have to be scrapped. Hopefully it'll come through. But yeah, that'll do it for this podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to go have some Strepsils. I'm going to go have some throat soothers so that my throat can recover from literally talking for an hour straight, and then some. But yeah, that'll wrap it up here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.